Hey everybody! So today, right now, I'm letting out the waste on a pair of suit trousers. You just open the seam up and you mark for your let outs. This one is being let out 2 1/4 inches. So, since it's on the double, you mark it 1 1/8 inches. So I'm gonna just mark it. Usually mark it down past the band just a little bit. And then put it so you can see the entire let me see what the seam, and then you mark it. You kind of true it up with a ruler and mark your line. So it looks like that. And I'm gonna let that whole thing out for reals. You can come along with me. Or as they say, you can follow along in your copy of the book. For those of you who grew up in that era. And if you did grow up in the era and you didn't know what that meant, I don't know what to tell you. I used to do that on cassette tapes and, you know, read-along records. If any of you remember read-along records. And if you don't, that's a sad day. Okay, what I'm trying to do is find the closest matching color. Because sometimes you can't always find the right color that exactly goes along with it. And sometimes you can. There are times when I will go searching all over Kingdom Come to find a color that matches. Just threading up the machine. I was listening to Christmas music earlier. Well, actually, my friend Lee over in England, he was listening to Christmas music this morning, and he sent a vid of it. He was listening to, in the car, it was listening to Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, which he didn't know the words. At least, I think, yeah. So I knew the words, but then, of course, that put the song in my head. And you know what happens when a song gets stuck in my head? So when I got to work, of course, YouTube, you know, Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree by Brenda Lee. Listen to it, you know, a couple of times. But only a couple. See, now what I'm doing is I'm pinning it together so that it doesn't slide when I'm stitching it down. You want it to... Okay, make sure the stitching tension is set at the correct machine. Yeah. And when I take in the waist, or let out the waist, I always put the setting on 2, because I want the stitches to be a little bit closer together and make it a little bit tighter. There are some machines that do a double stitch. This is an industrial, so it doesn't. So I go over it a second time. That way it's reinforced. you know, manufactured pants, they have like this, I call it a chain stitch, which is a stronger bond, and they do those usually on waists. Not all companies do, but most of them do. Stitches let out. Start picking it. This has never been taken in or let out before, so it has its original manufactured stitching, which is what I was calling the chain stitch. And if I pull enough stitches back, it'll release it, and you can just pull it. If I can get it. Trying. Oh man, this thread broke. This is an older pair of pants. Sometimes when they're older, they get... the thread can be worn down, or it has like little... I swear it's... I don't know what you want to call it. Maybe frayed ends, maybe, is the best way to describe it, because it kind of gets all tangled up in itself. It makes it more difficult to get the stitches to go. Oh, well, of course. Almost done. We're getting the stitching out. Come on, you stupid little piece of crap. Ah. Got it. And I'm going to press it open after I get this last bit. When you're pressing it open, you know, you just want to try to get all of the old lines, the previous lines, kind of pressed out as best you can. And sometimes it won't come out right off the first step. And you can use maybe sometimes a little bit of water, and that'll help. But as you can see, it's all now pressed out. You can still kind of see a faint line, and I'm going to press it again. But what I'm doing here now, stitching the waistband down so that it doesn't pop open. Oh, but I put the stitches up to 3 when I do that. Because it doesn't need to be as tight a stitch. Let's see. It's secured.